The Republican lead in Congress has climbed to 220 seats, securing them control of the House come January. The race that put them over the top, California's 3rd congressional district, where Republican Kevin Kiley took home the win over his Democrat opponent Kermit Jones. The Congressman-elect joins us now to talk about his pivotal win and his thoughts on the agenda moving forward. Congressman-elect Kiley, first, congratulations. It took a few extra days there for there to be some clarity in your race. How does it feel to have ended up being the guy who kind of put the GOP over the top?
Well, good morning, Tom. Thanks for having me. And, it feels great, actually, to have achieved our goal, which was to end the speakership of Nancy Pelosi. Now, I have the very slow vote counters in California to thank for being number 218. For some reason, we can't figure out how to do this in less than a month when, most states are announcing their results on election night. Of course, we're used to a very, substandard level of government performance in California. But the important thing is that we now have the majority, that the people of this country have voted for change, have voted for a new direction. And while we don't have a Republican in the White House and we don't have a Republican-controlled Senate, we do now have a Republican House. And that gives us the ability to provide real oversight and accountability of the Biden administration, which has been completely absent for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that in a second, but I want to discuss a couple of issues with you. Prior to running for office, you began your career as an inner-city school teacher. And you really saw the challenges of education firsthand. Education is on the agenda for the new Republican majority. What would you like to see Republicans focus on coming out of the gate when it comes to education reform?
Well, I think that focusing on putting parents back in the driver's seat and expanding school choice options should be top of the agenda. And frankly, also reducing the role of the federal government and insisting upon local control of education. But, that's right. I did start out my career teaching in inner city Los Angeles. I taught at a school where the average reading level was 5th grade for my 10th grade students. And unfortunately, that is all too common in California. We have just about the worst level of student achievement of any state in the country, and that's all gotten much, much worse after California had the longest school shutdown of any state in the country. And so what you're seeing, this is throughout America, but I think in particular in a very pronounced way in California, is you see this movement of parents that has really come together and is insisting on change in education in this state. We saw it, for example, in the recall of 3 school board members by overwhelming margins in San Francisco, of all places. These are board members who are pushing woke policies and refuse to open schools. And in this last election, yes, we still have a supermajority in our legislature, but we got hundreds of school board members elected in school boards across California, folks who are parent leaders, folks who are fed up with the curriculum, the radical curriculum around sex ed and CRT, are fed up with being told that they shouldn't have any role to play in their child's education. And so I do think that actually this is the beginning of setting perhaps not only education, but our state's entire politics on a different course, now that we have these citizen-backed parent leaders who are in important roles on school boards.
Mr. Kiley, we already know, as you mentioned, that the members of the House Oversight Committee are planning a range of investigations into the Biden administration. It was outlined last week by Jim Jordan and James Comer. How much of a focus should oversight in these investigations be for the majority? And is there one in particular that would be of interest to you to see advanced here?
Well, it's hard to pick just one, but it is a very important focus. This is central to the role of the legislature, of the House of Representatives, is to provide oversight and accountability for the executive branch. So when you hear folks on the left say that, oh, this is about scoring political points, nothing could be further from the truth. This is our job. Nancy Pelosi has refused to do that job, but that's what's partisan in nature, is she has abdicated the oversight responsibilities of Congress just to avoid making the Biden administration look bad. So you're going to see oversight hearings and investigations and using the subpoena power when necessary and bringing in officials in the administration to get to the facts when it comes to what's going on at Homeland Security, what's going on at DOJ, what happened with the origins of COVID and the government suppression of information relating to that. Or on this issue of schools, there was a letter that Mr. Jordan, among others, put out to the Secretary of Education saying, we're going to look into the misuse of law enforcement and counterterrorism resources to silence parents at school board meetings. If you remember that letter, calling parents domestic terrorists. So there is a lot of work to do. And that's something that, by the way, you can do, even though we don't have control of the Senate. The House is going to be the locus of oversight and accountability in this new Congress.
It's kind of hard to choose which one would be, kind of your favorite there. You also helped in your previous life prosecute the civil case against China's Huawei Technologies for intellectual property theft. And I want to ask you a foreign policy question. You know well that the threat from China presents itself in a variety of ways. The Biden administration has appeared to struggle with a strategy to address those threats. How do you want to see the U.S. handle the challenge? And I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you think the United States should ban TikTok, as the director of the FBI has suggested, since he believes that it's a threat to national security?
Well, there's certainly very concerning things going on there, and it's not just TikTok, though. You see that the CCP is trying to spread its influence in a variety of ways throughout the country. And you mentioned the civil case that I was involved in prosecuting against Huawei, which actually was the basis for the criminal investigations that followed, where they tried to steal the IP of a major U.S. company.
That's right.
And this has been their practice for a long time, is to try to steal our technology. But I will tell you, there is a broader issue here, because it's not just these isolated incidents. China has had an ongoing strategy of IP theft in the United States, but they're now also investing significantly in these sort of emerging fields in artificial intelligence and quantum computing. They're actually, getting way more patents than the United States is in these key areas. And we've been dropping the ball when it comes to innovation in this country. And so I think that when you talk about the sort of priorities we need to have for this new Congress, getting our economy back on track, dealing with inflation, a key part of that is trying to revive the American spirit of innovation, because if we don't, then we're going to be in big trouble vis-a-vis China from a geopolitical point of view.
Ban TikTok, yes or no?
I think that it's certainly worth looking into how do we actually limit the ability of China to influence its footprint here in the United States through its control of U.S. companies. And so we need to figure out what's going on with TikTok and whether that's the right step.
And limit data collection, of course. California Congressman-elect Kevin Kiley, again, congratulations and thank you so much for being here.
You bet.